Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
Well, hello. This
Hi,
is Chris Parker here. Hi, and this is Dorota. Welcome.
Hi,
I've known you for quite some years. We haven't seen each other lately, of course, but I've been following, very intently. You're now a published author. You have a coaching practice for, expat women, at least in the Netherlands. You're coming from Poland. So some incredible stuff going on. So I'm delighted to have you here and learn more about you and what you're doing and how you run your business. But would you mind introducing yourself with the three questions of who are you, what do you do, and most importantly, why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks so much, Chris, for inviting me. You mentioned, I'm Dorota. I'm originally from Poland, but I met already 18 years ago. I met a Dutch guy. We fell in love, and 16 years ago, I moved to the Netherlands. And 12 years ago, I changed my career from a corporate career to my own business. I'm already 10 years. I'm a coach. And I call myself actually two ways. Like one thing is what's really at my heart. It's purpose-driven career coach. And the second is international career coach, because 99% of my clients are international. And so what I'm doing is I'm helping people to change their career. And very often it is from a corporate career or more business career to do something that they feel it's more meaningful, more with purpose, more based on their values and talents. And I've been doing it for the last 10 years. And what actually drives me, as I discovered in the last 10 years of my business, is actually helping people to get closer to what really drives them and what they feel matters and is purposeful.
And if it's purpose driven, I'm curious if you go one level deeper in that. What drives you? Because there's a drive to help people, but why is that meaningful to you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And very early on in my career, I was searching for what is that. So I did a lot of different things. I went to a massage course of 1 year, but I was thinking, how can I bring value, right? And also within my coaching practice, which I started 10 years, I was doing a lot of type of coaching, life coaching and expat coaching. And I found that what I'm driven by and gives me most energy is helping people with their career, because then I feel if I help them, if it's my purpose to connect them to their purpose, then we create a big ripple effect. And that it has a positive effect on themselves, on the people around them, on what they do professionally, but also on, the world, animals, other living creatures. So I had really experienced so amazing, transformations in my career doing, in their career doing amazing things. That gives me, again, more energy to do more of that.
Yeah, beautiful. I early on in my career, I was also very driven. I used to say I help people succeed. And for myself, I discovered that was actually a losing proposition, because I can't own the success of other people. So again, my learning and discovery journey as a human is still underway. But the way I define my purpose is I create experiences that enable growth. And this is sort of one of those ways. So for me, Ebullient is sort of that platform to, I'm not quite sure how to capture value from it, but, if we do times like this and we learn from each other, and if other people can learn, then outstanding. So.
For me, if you put it like that, it's about, delivering transformation. So something that transforms people's lives through their career. Yeah, because it has a positive ripple effect also on themselves. So if they get unstuck professionally, they become a better parent, happier husband or wife. So it impacts them also on the different levels. Yeah. Although we are not working on that, it has an impact.
Well, I think it's all connected. So if you're working with someone on their inner drive and their purpose and what their vocation would be, and I'm sure you know the ikigai type of models.
Of
sort of holistic view. I love that kind of stuff. So I guess one thing, if we go off script a little bit, during this Corona time, people are under a lot of stress, anxiety. Maybe they've been let go from their job, or maybe their company has been behaving in a way which is not appropriate for their values. Is there any one piece of advice that you could give people if they're thinking about, hey, I'm not comfortable with where I am, other than reading your book, of course, and we'll put that. We'll put the link to that in the show notes. I have it here.
Piece of short advertising.
So, is there any pointer? Because a lot of people listening to this are probably thinking at this particular time in humanity, what do I want to do when I grow up? And I think all bets are off. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think, what I also noticed in my business, especially in the beginning, sort of March, April, everything was frozen and people were frozen as well. So I think a lot of people were afraid, am I going to lose my job? And then you see that the first thing is, security and safety, and whether the job is good or not doesn't matter, because as long as it exists, right? So. But I think, as we went through the, Corona crisis, and we started to get accustomed and, accept the fact that it's with us and probably is going to stay with us for some time, people start waking up saying, okay, actually, what does it mean for me? And it's now the time to move out, with my career. So I think, although, you might have internally feeling maybe that's not yet the right time, with the lockdown situation, when you are much more home, you have much more opportunity to actually look deep down in yourself and actually ask yourself those, challenging questions. Imagine that in a couple of months' time, we're going to out. How do I want to shape my career then? So now it's, I think, a great time to reflect. Mm-hmm. And although some people might be feeling, I don't want to jump as yet, because I want to hold on to the thing that I have. And that's, perfectly understandable. But I think some, reflection work can definitely be done. And I just noticed, it's just how everything was quiet, for my business in March and April, and how in June it started to, bloom up again, and people coming up with the questions. Yeah, now I'm ready to think again how satisfied I am in my career.
And I think, because I was also delightfully part of your crowdsourcing of the title of your book, some time ago. And I think it's a career jump isn't probably a single moment in time, so it's probably starts with dissatisfaction and understanding that. And there's a whole lead up. And so, people can already start orienting and preparing and doing work, with coaches like you, or reading books, or doing their own self-reflection. Definitely. And that will all prepare them for whatever that jump is. Because this, again, for me, this Corona time has been an absolute blessing. Because I was literally, and I've been talking about it for years, stuck in a self-made, call it golden cage, of working with corporates and making lots of money, and then somehow being artificially fearful about, not doing that. And and so this whole time of, the blessing of being, at home with the family and getting the ebullient moving, even though that's still a work in progress, and that always will be. Meditation. I, changed my garage into a gym. Like, why did I not do all of this stuff? 5 years ago. What is it in your head that makes you sacrifice for others before you start loving yourself? So, how did you? I love and I've been, observing, and we've talked, a number of times in the past. You have dabbled in a lot of different coaching, life coaching, and things like that.
Yeah.
How did you focus that down? How did you narrow that down? And how do you maintain focus when you have?
Yeah. So I started actually really, really what you say, really broad. So I was doing, everything related to coaching, and not only coaching, but also still counseling. But, my husband was always making jokes of me. Looking at your website, it seems like there are at least 100 people working in this company, because the offer is amazing, right? But as I, started to work, as a coach and start to receive a lot of different clients, I really followed the energy, right? So I really was actually two things. One thing internally, what gives me energy, and where do I feel I have the most added value and brings me personally joy. And on the second, of course, where do I see the biggest results for my clients? So where does it happen? And what is the question demand from the market, right? And luckily, amazingly, the three things intersected in one point, and that's for me the purpose-driven career coaching. So it's just about focusing, and I'm coaching now actually a lot of people who are also like me, want to get out of corporate and become coaches.
Yeah.
And they are still wondering and looking. And I say, don't worry, it doesn't matter. Just start, because when I was starting with the idea, I didn't even have an idea to become coach. My idea was to become psychotherapist for kids with traumas. And then I started to do the whole work, and I discovered, first of all, no psychotherapy, second of all, no kids, and then coaching for internationals, not for Dutch people, and then, career coaching. So it went like that, but only through doing and following what gives me the energy and what is the market asking for.
And the beautiful words, just start. I was confronted by a coach. I mispronounce her name, but Charlotte Van Het Wout, complicated Dutch name for me. She's this sort of influencer, online trainer, coach, and I had a half day with her, and instantly we were connected on sort of the values and principles. And her challenge was also just start, and that was starting with this video stuff, because although I've produced movies and things, actually making it myself. So there's a time that I was making a video in order to fulfill my promise of 30 videos in 30 days. I was in New York doing it in the back of a sweaty, stinky taxi cab just to get it delivered. But just deliver, just do it, move, do something, create momentum and go. So I'm curious on focus. Perfect customer. Is there a perfect customer for you? And is there a time to say no to customers?
Yeah. And I actually in March I started to work with a business coach to have more focus on actually who is my perfect customer. And then you go to my website and see my book and see that it's all about pink. Like the dark pink, the fuchsia color, my beloved color. So. I always say I'm coaching mainly international women, but having looked at all the clients that I've worked with, and again looking, okay, where do I get a lot of energy? I was actually surprised myself to notice that I get also a lot of energy working with guys. So, I wanted to say I'm working mainly with international women, but I say I'm working mainly with international women and also with international guys who are not scared of my pink colors, because as a coach myself, I have a reputation to be on one hand empathic and accommodating, but on the other hand also asking the challenging questions. So
as a coach should, to know what those questions are,
and pushing people through the comfort zone. But my main space is internationals. I would say around 30-40, but predominantly people who feel stuck. People who feel, okay, I've been rolling in my career for some years and it has been great. And, people who are very often, it's not that they are really suffering, but they feel there's something wrong and that I could be doing so much more and so many better. And they feel, so what's the point, who is going to benefit, what doesn't matter. But also, people who are the action takers. So I call them sort of adults. So not a victim type of mentality who say, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that because that's too difficult. But people who really have the drive, because the change is difficult, right? Yourself, every transformation is difficult, especially career change. If it's a huge one, getting out of the golden cage, to something unknown is scary. And the sort of action taker, the doer mentality is important. Yeah.
I loved it that you started that with, and I see that with a lot of, I think all the really successful coaches that I know, like yourself, also get coaching, and so you went out I think you also see the value of coaching and
definitely on a lot of different levels, to feel yourself how it is coached, to feel, stand in the shoes of your clients, but also to, get yourself out of your, own blocks, as we all have to, go to the next stage. So definitely.
And I also hear that from other people who historically have been coaches, they're stopping to use the word coach because they say everyone and their dog is a coach now. And what's your view on that? Because if everyone's a coach, well, maybe everyone should be a coach, in some way or another. Because if we were all coaches, then that would probably mean we're all being very self-reflective and learning and discovering.
Yeah.
So, but do you think there's too many coaches in the world, or how do you see that?
Yeah, that's true. When I started with my education was 12 years ago, and then I started my business, and especially international business and coaching business in Amsterdam. There were only maybe 5 of us, and now it's maybe 105. So it's grew exponentially. But I always say, so a lot of people, when I came back from, we were in Mexico for 2 years, and then I came back, and people are saying, there's your competition grew really immensely, and how you're going to do that. And, the one thing I always say, first of all, it's great because it keeps you sharp. And secondly, when I'm going to have an intro call with you and you're going to have with someone else, you will feel if there's a click, yes or no. So, I always get the clients who want to work with me and say, hey, yes, we go for Dorota because I have a click and I believe. So, there is a competition, but there's also not competition. So I believe you're getting the clients that you are supposed to get and that you are going to help. And a second, it's good because it keeps you sharp, keeps you developing, learning, making your proposition better. So I think competition is great. And the other thing, what you said, that I think coaching is such a beautiful profession, but also very helpful in your daily life, right? And I have just in April, I followed a new course. It's a brain-based conversation skills. And it's just for everyone who wants to learn how to have a better conversation, with the employees, as a boss, as a parent, you name it. And it's so amazing that you can actually apply it everywhere, right?
Cool. Well, if you can share a link with me later, then I'll put that in the show notes for people out there. Yeah.
Sure.
And also, you mentioned your website, and that is off the top of my head. Let me see. It's DOSO Coaching, DOSO Coaching.com. And we'll put that link. Yeah. We'll put that in the link as well for when people want to find you. So, but it sounds like you have a very abundance mindset. So with competition increasing, you have a very positive view on that. Is that the main contributor to your, I guess, growth of your business, or do you have other, all the coaches out there, who are looking to grow, say they've already started, but they want to grow their business? How do you keep growing your business and can keep getting the business you want?
Yes, I think it's about a couple of things. It's also about, say in Dutch, doorzetten. So when you start, you're just focusing and going through with that. So you don't stop. And I've been doing 12 years already. 12 years when I started, and 10 years in my business and do so. And I notice many coaches come and go, but I'm still there, still writing my articles, and what really motivates me and pushes me, it's learning new things and creating new things. So I'm actually a coach who loves to work not only in the business but on my business. I'm always asking, so how can I make it better, for my clients? So more accessible. So first step was the book. Now I'm thinking to move a lot online. So start offering online courses, online webinars. And I love that, it's like parts what really motivates me. It's learning, creativity, and delivering the best value for the client. Because then I know, then I'm satisfied myself, So it's very egoistic, but it all starts with you, right?
It has to be. Yeah, I think so. No, I love the work on the business as opposed to in the business. Entrepreneurial working on, and honestly, that's one of the design principles of these interviews. That I'm not looking for people to go deep into their craft and, all that, but it's really, okay, how do you build your business? And similarly, I love these conversations because I just learn and discover more and more. And no, brilliant.
And it's actually really funny because I was like in the business, working for the corporation, and I was thinking, I want to escape that because that's, I was feeling I was not purposeful enough for me. Then I moved to the coaching, and I thought, I will only want to coach 100%, and the business part, just forget about that. And when I discovered for myself, no, that's not who I am. I actually enjoy as much as coaching, as much as the business part of doing that. So if I would only coach and not have the business part, I would not be equally happy. So that's about, for me, keeping this balance. And then again, you just need to start, because a lot of things you cannot just come up with theoretically, you need to experience that.
Yeah. And in the coaching part, because you don't have staff, I don't think. So you basically do this all yourself. So how do you maintain that balance? And I'm asking for very selfish purposes. Maintain the balance of the learning and discovery in the commercial part with the actual delivering on your promise part. How do you balance that and keep things productive? That's something I struggle with a lot, because there's always, I have a bit of a shiny object syndrome. So like, oh, look at this.
Me too.
So it's so do you have any advice or tactics on how do you maintain that balance of feeding your creativity as well as delivering?
Yeah, so I think, I think for myself, and I followed a couple of years ago, it was a business circle academy. And from that, I remember very well one thing. So you need to identify outside of your business, like, what's what the main purpose of your business, is to coach people. But what are other activities that are core to you, that you love doing, and that you say, I cannot give it to someone else? And that's for me writing my articles and columns. And through that, I got a lot of clients, and through delivering them consistently, in the past 10 years. So that's one thing I say, whatever happens, I'm doing. In Corona times, maybe I have to admit less consistently than before, but I'm, picking up again. So that's one thing. And now I lost you. What do you... Oh yeah, about the creativity and staying in the game. So that's one thing, that I say, okay, next to the fact that I'm having, new clients, talking with potential clients, I need to have that. But the other thing is, for me, I need to have like next one big thing that I'm working on. And last year, and actually not last year, in the past 2 years was actually my book. And there were a lot of other things that I thought, I would really, love to start videos. I would really love to start, online course. And I said to myself, no, because you're going to be swamped and you're not going to deliver actually on any of that. And this year for myself, I chosen that I'm going to, upgrade again and refresh my coaching skills. So I did what I mentioned, the brain-based conversation skills. I'm now doing brand-based coaching certificate. So helping people even better based on the insights on how our brain works to help them to get to their results more effectively. So to answer your question, it's just, for me, it's focusing on my next big project and, one thing that is consistently always there. And to the rest, you just need to say no.
Yeah, no, that's such
from my own perspective, right? From
that's such an easy word and sometimes so hard to do. So that's when Campus Party came along, where this video will be screened and as well as the podcast. I would have had to have said no if I didn't already have the podcast planned. So that because I had already the horizons of activities I wanted to do, and I was already saying no to the podcast for so long. I think it was only because it was already ready in my mind that I said, okay, now it's the time, so let's go for it. And I think, every now when a golden, an amazing opportunity comes, where it means also a lot of work. Like for me, these are speaking engagement on the big conferences. Of course, I'll never say no, even if I'm totally swamped. I'll always say yes to those. But
But other things, like for example, last year, or beginning of this year, I had plans with online course and said, no, it has to stop, because otherwise, I'm not going to learn as much as possible from my coach. The book is going to, drag for another whatever months, because, and what really keeps my energy, because otherwise I think I will be workaholic, is my family. I need to spend time with my daughters and my husband. So the energy manages itself by itself.
Yeah, I'm curious to go back again, going off our intended script, but you talked about this brain-based. I imagine it probably has something to do with neuroplasticity. It's a hard word, and the fact that we can, relearn and reprogram. But I'm just curious, can you give a couple points on what you picked up from that and how you bring that into your practice?
So from the coaching perspective, it's really about learning about how your brain functions, and actually what is the best environment in your own brain that helps the change. Mm-hmm. And they have discovered that the brain is most prone to change and actually go forward with a change, whether it's in a reward state rather than a threat state. Mm-hmm. And then learning to apply that in the coaching conversation. So with very simple things like giving feedback. So if you are a manager that has great coaching skills, say, oh, okay, so now I'm going to give you feedback, and there it goes. It's always about first asking for permission. So proning the brain to be in a reward state, because giving the feedback already predominantly puts our brain in a threat state. Oh, he's going to tell me what I screwed up, right? Not what I did so well. So and then our brain is not receptive of what we do, and it's not able to learn. And in the past, also looking at the coaching was also a lot about, so what is the problem? It's letting people focus on that keeps them stuck, because when they focus on problem, they are in a threat state and they are not able to move forward. So it's about holding the space for the client, for a coachee, to be continuously in this reward state and generating their own change path from there. So continuously holding the space from there, and that's a big mindset also, for me when I was learning that. So it's really happy that I.
It sounds beautiful. It sounds powerful, because I think giving feedback on some of these other conversations, and I'm actually going to have a part 2 interview with someone, because they brought feedback up, and I said, well, we need to unpack this further. But oftentimes feedback can be, what's called as the shit sandwich. So I want to give you something hard, and I'm going to put some artificial, taste, positive on the front and the back, and then. But what I really want to tell you is, this shit. And don't do it artificial. You can have hard discussions, and for me, if it's without knowing all the brain aspects of it, but if you do it from a respectful, loving, caring perspective, even if it's a hard discussion. If the intention is there. So it's sounds powerful stuff. So
it's really great stuff.
So we've got about 2 minutes left. I'm curious, in your business, if you have found something, some sort of smart cut or tip or trick or tool or something that has really simplified your life or your business recently. What's really worked for you?
So when I was actually preparing for the interview and writing the answers, there are a couple of things that came up. First of all, just follow the energy and follow what gives you energy, and the rest give to someone else. So although I don't do anymore my finances. Although I don't do my website. So identify what are your core activities. Like for me, writing, coaching people, creating stuff, and stick to that. And for the other things, either employ technology. So I have like Asana, Calendly, Upwork, where my whole book was cooperation of 20 people from all over the world, that were doing the stuff that I couldn't do. So don't do everything yourself, because as a small business owner, you have a tendency to do that, because it will save you at the end money. And following the energy what you keep on doing yourself, and focusing, focusing. What is your focus? What is your purpose? Are you on the mission? and the rest let go, to other people.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. I've
Thanks so
absolutely
much,
enjoyed
Chris.
this. Okay. Thank you.
Learn more at ebillion.com/podcast.